Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're embarking on a rather unconventional journey. Usually, you expect us to unearth insights from, dense research papers, complex reports, or maybe a mountain of articles.
Right. The usual suspect.
Exactly. But our source material for this deep dive is, well, it's a list.
Just a list.
Yeah, a list. Specifically, what's presented as the Oxford 3,000 words English words. List. Learn English words.
No.
Now, on the surface, a simple list of words might seem deceptively straightforward, almost too basic for a deep dive, maybe.
You might think so.
But I promise you, it holds a really fascinating blueprint for understanding language itself.
It truly is a unique opportunity. I mean, most of the time, we're analyzing language in its natural habitat, within sentences, paragraphs, spoken dialogue.
Sure, in context.
Exactly. But here we have, a foundational document. It's a meticulously curated collection of individual words just laid bare.
Stripped down.
Yeah, almost like examining the DNA of the English language, stripped down to its most essential components. And this allows us to observe patterns, make inferences, understand the deliberate choices that shape our path to becoming, truly well-informed in a new language.
Exactly. So our mission today is to peel back the layers of this list.
Okay.
We want to understand what its very existence, its title, and its particular arrangement tell us about how we acquire knowledge, especially language knowledge.
Right, the why behind it.
Yeah. What hidden insights, what unexpected nuggets of understanding can we pull from simply looking at these words in the specific order? We're going to treat this word list not just as like a static collection, but as a living artifact, a kind of linguistic fossil record that reveals deeper truths about fluency and comprehension.
And this brings up a crucial point for you, our listener. For someone aiming to become well-informed in English, what does this specific compilation truly offer? How does it serve as a shortcut, maybe? Or a concentrated dose of essential vocabulary?
Yeah, like a booster shot.
Designed to maximize your learning efficiency. It's as if someone has meticulously sifted through the hundreds of thousands of English words.
Which is overwhelming to even think about.
Totally overwhelming. And distilled it down to what they deem the most critical elements.
Okay.
So our goal is to uncover the why behind that selection and presentation, and how those choices maybe inadvertently reveal powerful insights into the very process of language acquisition itself.
Right.
It's about empowering you to navigate the complexities of English with a strategic foundation.
So let's start with the cover, so to speak, the title itself. The Oxford 3,000 words English words lists Learn English words. This isn't just a label. It feels like a profound statement, a clear declaration of intent.
It really does.
The inclusion of Oxford immediately lends the significant weight.
Right. Authority, academic rigor.
Absolutely. For any learner, seeing that name attached to a resource, well, it instantly instills a sense of trust.
Confidence. Yeah. Confidence that they're investing their valuable time in something credible, something rigorously vetted.
It sets a high standard from the outset. It reassures you this isn't just some, random list somebody threw together online.
That Oxford branding is indeed a powerful signal, especially in the world of language learning. It implies a deep dive into linguistic data, probably based on extensive corpus analysis.
Right, looking at how language is actually used.
Exactly, studying the large collections of text and speech. So this means the selection of these words isn't arbitrary. It's grounded in empirical evidence of frequency and utility in real-world communication.
Okay, so it's data-driven.
Very likely. And then we have the number, 3,000 words.
Yeah, so specific.
It's not a vague estimate, is it? It's a precise, measurable target. If we connect this to the broader landscape of language proficiency, 3,000 words is often cited as a benchmark for achieving, a solid functional fluency.
Okay. What level is that, roughly?
Roughly aligning with an intermediate level, maybe like B2 on the common European framework of reference for languages.
Gotcha. So practical.
Very practical. It tells you, the learner, that this list is designed to get you to a level where you can navigate most everyday conversations, read general texts, and express a pretty wide range of ideas.
So it's a clear boundary.
It's a clearly defined boundary a tangible goal, and for many, I think, a very encouraging milestone.
3,000 distinct entries. I mean, just pause for a moment and consider that sheer volume.
It's a lot.
It's not a pamphlet, right? It's a substantive vocabulary base.
Definitely.
For someone just starting their English journey, or maybe even looking to solidify their existing understanding, this isn't merely a brief glossary.
No.
It's a comprehensive foundation. When you look at it, doesn't it immediately feel comprehensive? Like a significant achievement in itself to just have this list.
Yeah, there's a certain heft to it.
It suggests that mastering these specific words will propel you well beyond basic survival phrases into a realm of like nuanced comprehension and expression, enabling you to engage with English in a far more meaningful way. It's kind of a promise, isn't it? A promise of foundational literacy condensed into a single navigable resource.
And that scale, 3,000 words, brings with it a fascinating psychological dynamic.
How so?
Well, at first glance, it can feel daunting. Imagine staring at a document with 3,000 individual lines.
Yeah, a bit intimidating.
But once you start to engage with it, that very specificity becomes incredibly empowering. It provides a clear scope, defining exactly what's considered essential.
Okay.
It shifts the perception from an unmanageable ocean of words to a clearly marked, achievable island.
I see, like the 80-20 rule.
Exactly.
Right.
This plays directly into the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. In language learning, it suggests that roughly 20% of the vocabulary you learn,
Which might be these 3,000 words.
precisely, will enable you to understand something like 80% of everyday conversations and texts.
Wow.
So these 3,000 words are likely that critical 20%. By focusing on this high-frequency, high-impact vocabulary, a learner can maximize their return on effort.
Makes sense. Avoid the overwhelm.
Exactly. Avoid the overwhelm that often plagues language acquisition, and instead, cultivate a tangible sense of progress and accomplishment.
So you're not just memorizing randomly.
No, you're strategically acquiring the most potent tools for communication.
Okay, now let's unpack a seemingly obvious yet probably profoundly deliberate structural choice.
Which is?
The list is presented in strict alphabetical order, from A right through to 0.
It is simple.
Simple, yes. It's not grouped by theme or frequency or grammar category, just A to Z. Now, this might seem like the most straightforward way to organize a list, but it's a decision with significant implications for how a learner interacts with it, how they perceive the information.
Definitely.
Does this particular arrangement genuinely make it easier to navigate, or does it maybe obscure some of the natural conceptual connections that a learner might otherwise make if words were grouped differently? I find myself wondering if there's like a missed opportunity there.
That's a perceptive question, because the choice of alphabetical order highlights a fundamental trade-off in language pedagogy.
Okay.
On one hand, it offers unparalleled accessibility and ease of reference. If you're looking up a specific word, you know exactly where to find it. It's systematic, universally understood.
No confusion there.
Right. It eliminates the need for complex internal categorization. This is incredibly efficient for quick lookups or for using the list as a reference tool. But the limitation arises in its impact on semantic network building. You know, how we connect related ideas in our minds. When words are grouped thematically, for instance, all words related to food or travel, a learner naturally starts to build connections between concepts.
Makes sense.
Alphabetical order, just by its nature, creates arbitrary juxtapositions.
Like you said, apple next to application.
Exactly. Or bird beside birth. Two very different concepts, side by side, purely because of spelling.
So it helps you find things quickly.
Yes.
But maybe it doesn't help you learn the relationships between words as easily.
Precisely. While it provides a systematic framework for retrieval, it doesn't inherently foster the contextual or conceptual relationships that are crucial for deeper, more intuitive language acquisition. It prioritizes practical utility over an explicitly pedagogical grouping, meaning the learner has to kind of work harder to make those thematic connections themselves.
Okay, let's zoom in then. Let's look at the very beginning of the list, the foundational building blocks.
Right at the start. Hey.
Yeah, it kicks off with abandon, ability, able, about, above, abroad, absence, absent, absolutely. It's quite a mix right from the very first few entries.
It is, isn't it?
We immediately encounter articles, verbs, abstract nouns, adverbs.
All sorts.
So what does this opening sequence, these initial words, tell us about the fundamental elements of English language structure or its common usage? It's not just a string of simple nouns.
No, not at all.
It feels like a concise snapshot of the language's core machinery already at play.
What's fascinating about this immediate dive into diverse word types is how implicitly front-loads essential grammatical categories.
Okay.
We start with a, the most common indefinite article, fundamental part of English noun phrases. Then am, a form of to be.
Crucial verb.
Arguably the most critical verb for basic sentence construction, expressing states of being.
Right.
Following that, we get action verbs like abandon, abstract nouns like ability, prepositions like about and above.
So it's dense.
It's functionally dense. This isn't just a list of labels. It's a demonstration of the functional density of clear English vocabulary.
So it shows that even basic language isn't just about naming things.
Exactly. It highlights that foundational language isn't just about labeling concrete objects, but it immediately involves expressing existence, action, relationships, abstract concepts.
Wow.
It's a reflection of how frequently these grammatical building blocks are used in everyday speech. It's effectively laying the groundwork for basic sentence structure and conceptual understanding simultaneously, right from the first letter of the alphabet.
As you continue to scroll through the list, something else starts to become apparent, even without any explicit categorization. You begin to observe what feel like natural word families, almost as if the alphabetical order has unintentionally grouped them.
Ah, interesting. Like what?
Well, for example, we see absent and absence appearing close together.
Right. Adjective, noun.
Then accept and acceptable, or achieve and achievement.
Okay, I see.
Later on, we find these bigger clusters like act, action, active, activity, actor, actress.
All related.
Or confuse, confusing, and confusion. Now, this isn't explicitly taught grammar.
No, it's just a side effect of AZ.
Right. But what does the inclusion of these related forms, appearing somewhat consecutively because of the alphabet, suggest about how this list intends for us to build our vocabulary? It's like a subtle, pervasive lesson in word building.
It's exactly an implicit lesson in morphology, the study of how words are structured and how they change form.
Right.
When a learner encounters absent, an adjective, maybe immediately followed by absence, its related noun, or act, a verb, alongside action, a noun, an active, an adjective.
Yeah.
It organically exposes them to the derivational nature of English words. They start to intuitively grasp how prefixes and suffixes can alter a word's meaning or grammatical function, all stemming from a common root.
Without even trying, almost.
Almost. This passive learning of word families can be incredibly powerful. Instead of memorizing isolated words, a learner begins to build a more interconnected vocabulary network.
Recognizing patterns.
Exactly. Recognizing patterns and predicting meaning. It's a more efficient way to expand vocabulary because understanding one root word often unlocks several related terms.
So fosters a deeper understanding.
A deeper, more robust understanding of the language's internal logic rather than just rote memorization. It teaches you how words are built and how they evolve.
Now, here's where the alphabetical arrangement really starts to play some interesting tricks on our minds, maybe. When you simply scroll through the list, the alphabetical order sometimes creates utterly unexpected neighbors.
Right, the random pairings.
Yeah. You find ant, and then immediately after, anti, or apple, followed by application.
Completely different things.
Totally. Then you might see bad and bad-tempered next to each other, or bag and baggage. And a classic example, good and goods.
Ah, yes, the adjective and the noun.
So what kind of mental pathways, what cognitive leaps might this random arbitrary proximity create for a learner? It's not thematic, but it could spark some intriguing connections, couldn't it?
It absolutely could.
It feels almost like a serendipitous linguistic game.
It does, and this raises an important question about the sort of accidental pedagogy of alphabetical lists.
Accidental pedagogy, I like that.
While not intentionally designed for conceptual linking, these unforced juxtapositions can indeed lead to surprising aha moments.
How?
Well, for instance, encountering good, an adjective describing quality, immediately before goods, a noun referring to tangible items for sale, forces a learner to consciously consider the subtle but crucial shift in meaning and function that a simple as can bring.
Right, makes you stop and think.
It does. Similarly, ant and anti might prompt a thought about prefixes and their impact on meaning, even if anti is actually a separate word here referring to opposition.
Okay.
This kind of spontaneous intellectual work, prompted by the random alignment of words, can actually lead to deeper retention.
Because you're actively processing it.
Yes, it forces the brain to actively reconcile or contrast concepts that are physically close on the page but semantically distant, making the learning process more active and engaging than simply processing words in isolation.
So the randomness isn't entirely a negative.
Not necessarily. It's like a daily puzzle that the list presents without even trying.
Okay, so stepping back a bit, this isn't just any random collection you found online. It's the Oxford 3,000 words.
That brand name again?
Exactly. So for you, our dedicated learner who's seeking that vital shortcut to being well-informed without getting bogged down, what does the very existence of such a meticulously curated list imply about the most crucial words needed for truly effective communication and comprehension in English?
Right.
It screams efficiency and strategic learning, doesn't it?
It really does. It suggests a highly selective process, a distillation of what's genuinely essential from that vast, sometimes overwhelming ocean of English vocabulary.
Yeah.
It points to a clear, actionable pathway for rapid progress.
That's it, exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, mastering these 3,000 words is akin to acquiring the essential tools for a skilled craftsman.
Nice analogy.
It signifies that a significant, disproportionate portion of everyday conversation, general reading, and nuanced understanding relies on precisely these terms.
It's leveraging that high-frequency, high-impact vocabulary.
To unlock the most common forms of communication quickly.
Exactly. Imagine trying to build a house with every single tool ever invented. It would be overwhelming.
Impossible.
But if you have the core hammers, saws, and drills, you can build most structures. This list provides those essential tools for your linguistic toolbox.
Okay.
It's a targeted approach that maximizes the return on your effort, making you functional and comfortable in English much faster than if you tried to absorb words indiscriminately.
So it implies a recognition that fluency is a journey.
Yes.
But a strong core vocabulary is the fastest way to get functionally comfortable.
The most reliable way, yeah. Functional and comfortable in the language.
So let's shift our focus slightly from passively understanding what you hear or read to actively producing your own thoughts.
Right, the output side.
How does having these 3,000 words in your linguistic arsenal empower you not just to comprehend, but to express yourself? What does it mean for your ability to construct meaningful sentences, articulate complex ideas, share your feelings, actively participate in conversations?
That's key.
It's one thing to passively recognize a word, but another entirely to spontaneously summon it and use it yourself. This list, presumably, gives you those fundamental building blocks for active production.
What's truly powerful here is that this list isn't just designed for passive recognition. It's a springboard for active language production.
Okay.
Each word isn't just a label. It represents a concept, an action, a state, an attribute. Collectively, they form the core building blocks for nuanced expression across a vast array of topics. Consider knowing words like believe, consider, discuss, explain, argue, or describe.
Action words for thinking and talking.
Exactly. These aren't merely for understanding. They are verbs that empower you to articulate your opinions, justify your reasoning, elaborate on your ideas.
So it gives you scaffolding.
Precisely. The list provides the lexical scaffolding necessary to move beyond simple declarative sentences into more complex and sophisticated forms of communication.
Right.
It encourages you to think about how these words combine, how they can be used to persuade, inform, or entertain.
So you become an active participant.
Effectively transforming you from just a recipient of information into an active, articulate participant in any English conversation. You're not just absorbing, you're creating.
Now, for someone like you, the listener, who's deeply curious, always looking for those aha moments that deepen understanding, this list undeniably provides a solid, incredibly useful foundation. But what does its inherent limitation, the fact that it's 3,000 words, not 30,000 or 300,000?
Right, it's not there.
What does that imply about the next steps in language acquisition? How can this very specific scope help you identify where to dive deeper, to strategically expand your knowledge beyond this core set?
That's a crucial point.
It's clearly a launch pad, not the entire journey, and that distinction is important for effective long-term learning.
Precisely. This raises a critically important question about the ongoing nature of language learning. While comprehensive for building a foundational understanding,
Which it seems to be.
the list implicitly almost elegantly, suggests that language acquisition is a continuous, evolving journey.
Okay.
It serves as a very clear benchmark, allowing a learner to accurately assess their current vocabulary knowledge and, crucially, to strategically identify areas where they might need to expand.
Based on their own needs.
Exactly. For instance, if your professional interests lie in, say, artificial intelligence or biomedical research, you'll quickly discover that these 3,000 words are a robust starting point, but they are by no means an exhaustive, spiralized vocabulary for those fields.
Right, you'll need more specific terms.
Definitely. The list equips you with the fundamental tools and the confidence to then delve into highly specific domains, explore idiomatic expressions, master nuances of tone, or understand cultural contexts.
All built on this base.
All built upon this robust base. It empowers you to become a more independent, self-directed, and targeted learner.
Moving beyond general proficiency.
Towards specialized expertise, if that's your goal. It's the essential map that shows you the well-trodden paths, but also points you towards the unexplored territories where you can forge your own trails.
Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty now. The subtle quirks that make looking at raw data so interesting.
The fun stuff.
Yeah. Skimming through the actual source list, you might notice very subtle, almost peculiar repetitions. For instance, in some versions of this list, you see am or abandon appearing consecutively.
Right next to each other. Yeah, I saw that.
It's not just a typo you might skip over. It appears consistently in a few places. What could these minute details within the raw data itself suggest? Maybe about the source's compilation method or a particular emphasis?
That's a really sharp observation.
It's truly peculiar, isn't it? It makes you wonder about the linguistic detective work behind it.
These specific repetitions, like am or abandon, are incredibly insightful, potentially.
How so?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, they could signify a few things about the underlying corpus linguistics methodology used to generate the list.
Okay.
For example, am could appear twice because the original frequency analysis tool might distinguish between different grammatical functions or lemmas.
So different uses of the same word form?
Potentially. So am, as a standalone word, first person singular of to be, might be counted separately from am as part of, say, a phrasal verb or specific common expression, even if the written form is identical.
Ah, interesting.
Or, for a word like abandon, maybe it's included once as a verb, and again, if it also functions as a noun in highly frequent contexts.
Which is less common, but possible.
Or perhaps it just appeared with extremely high frequency across different text types, warranting a kind of slight duplication for emphasis in the raw data extraction.
So it makes you look at the list itself as an artifact.
Exactly. Not just as content, but as an artifact of its creation, prompting us to consider the algorithms or the human decisions that shaped its final form.
A glimpse behind the curtain.
A fascinating glimpse into the precise mechanics of how such authoritative lists might be compiled, hinting at the deep statistical analysis that likely underpins them.
Continuing our microanalysis, one thing that immediately strikes you when you scroll through is the sheer range of word lengths and their inherent complexity, I guess. From the incredibly brief foundational words like am, and go.
Single letters or sounds, almost.
To significantly longer and more nuanced terms such as accommodation, embarrassment, or communication.
Right, much longer words.
The list spans a really wide spectrum. What does this inherent variety in word length tell us about the fundamental nature of foundational English vocabulary?
Yeah.
It's not just simple short words, is it? It immediately introduces the need for phonetic precision and handling multi-syllabic terms.
What's truly fascinating here is that the list exhibits no bias towards either extreme.
Okay.
It's not exclusively populated by short, simple words, nor is it filled only with complex, multi-syllabic terms.
It's a real mix.
It's a real mix, and this diverse range accurately reflects the organic nature of real-world language, where brevity and complexity coexist, often within the same sentence.
True.
It signifies that even within the core 3,000 words, a learner will encounter the full spectrum of English lexical patterns.
From the very basic.
Articles and prepositions, to sophisticated nouns and verbs that convey abstract concepts or require more precise articulation.
So it doesn't dumb down the language for learners.
Not at all. This deliberate mix means a learner isn't coddled into a simplified version of English. They are immediately exposed to the true scope and rhythm of essential vocabulary.
And that exposure is helpful.
immensely helpful, I think, for developing a natural feel for the language's cadence, its intonation, its natural structure.
Right.
It prepares them for the full complexity of English communication right from the outset.
So let's unpack this a bit further then. Without any explicit categorization, you observe this almost organic flow of words.
Yeah, the AZ flow.
You see animal and then anniversary and announce, or apple, followed by application, then bird and birth. What does this constant, somewhat random jumping
From concrete to abstract.
yeah, or from actions to states of being reveal about what constitutes a core vocabulary? It suggests that a foundational understanding of language isn't built in neatly compartmentalized boxes, right?
It doesn't seem like it.
But rather as an intricately interconnected web of concepts, regardless of their semantic family.
That's a profound observation, actually. The very lack of explicit categorization means that the learner encounters the full, unadulterated tapestry of English, as it appears most frequently in natural conversation and text.
They're a real deal.
The real deal. It's a broad, comprehensive snapshot of essential language, encompassing everything from tangible, everyday objects like apple, chair, table,
The basic.
to abstract and philosophical concepts like ability, freedom, truth. It includes deeply human emotions, anger, joy, sadness, alongside a wide range of actions, abounded, achieved by, and descriptions, beautiful, bright, busy.
So it covers life, basically.
Yeah, it really does. This unclassified yet comprehensive approach mirrors how language is encountered in the real world. You don't typically learn words in isolated thematic groups in natural conversation.
True.
It fosters a more intuitive, holistic grasp of the language's multifaceted nature. It demonstrates that a core vocabulary equips you to speak about, well, literally anything and everything that might come up in daily life.
Allowing for spontaneous communication.
Exactly. Spontaneous and authentic communication. Hashtag outro called.
So today we took what might seem like a remarkably simple document, the Oxford 3,000 words list, and transformed it into, well, I think a fascinating deep dive into the very structure and utility of language.
Just certainly dug into it.
We discovered that even in its raw, unadorned form, it offers profound insights. From the authoritative stamp of Oxford and that precise count of 3,000, to the seemingly mundane alphabetical arrangement and the subtle patterns of word families and even those weird repetitions.
Yeah.
Every single element, subtly yet powerfully, informs the learner's path. This list is more than just a collection of words.
Much more.
It's a meticulously curated, highly efficient foundation for anyone embarking on the profound journey of mastering English.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the true power of such a list isn't just in the act of memorizing the words themselves.
Right.
It's in understanding what a strategically curated core vocabulary represents. The essential building blocks for coherent thought, effective communication, and ultimately, a more nuanced and informed engagement with the complex world around you.
It's about linguistic empowerment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A tool that unlocks doors to new ideas and deeper connections. And this raises an important question for you, our listener, to ponder long after this deep dive concludes. If these 3,000 words form such a potent base,
Yeah.
what new worlds of understanding, what richer conversations, and what more profound insights can you build upon them as you continue your own deep dives into the vast, ever-evolving landscape of the English language? Welcome to the Deep Dive. Have you ever found yourself searching for, just the right phrase to sound truly natural in English? Maybe moving beyond what the textbooks teach you. Or maybe you've heard a native speaker use an expression and thought, what on earth does that mean?
Oh, definitely. It happens all the time.
It's such a universal experience for English learners. And, well, honestly, even for native speakers sometimes. We learn all the grammar rules, build up our vocabulary.
Right.
And then we step into a real conversation. And it feels like a completely different language sometimes.
Yeah. Full of hidden meanings and these subtle cues.
You've absolutely hit the nail on the head there. And that's precisely the mission of today's deep dive. We're unlocking, a real treasure trove of hundreds of essential English words and phrases for daily communication.
Okay.
This isn't just about expanding your vocabulary list. It's really about equipping you with the tools to sound fluent, confident, and genuinely natural. We'll do that by focusing on practical, real-world usage, and importantly, the underlying social nuances. Our source for this deep dive, it comes from a really extensive vocabulary masterclass. It's designed specifically to elevate everyday speech. So what we've done is filter through that wealth of information to bring you the most impactful insights, the surprising uses of common words, and those aha moments that, really make a difference. We're trying to cut through the noise to give you the signal.
So for you, our listener, who we know thrives on gaining knowledge quickly, but also thoroughly, we promise actionable insights, things you can integrate immediately.
Right.
Whether you're prepping for, say, an important meeting, just catching up with friends, maybe navigating a new city while traveling, or even if you're just intensely curious about the intricacies of the English language.
Yeah.
This deep dive will sharpen your communication skills across casual chats, professional settings, you name it.
Okay, let's kick things off with something really fundamental. How do native speakers actually greet each other, in a way that feels effortless and authentic? And what about the subtle ways they say goodbye that go beyond just the basic bye?
Good starting point.
Because, let's be honest, how are you? Can sometimes feel a little too formal for everyday interactions.
That's a great point, yeah. For everyday greetings, you'll constantly hear, how's it going?
Right.
It's incredibly versatile. Works perfectly for friends, colleagues, family. It's a much more common alternative to the more formal "how are you?" It's like a conversational lubricant.
Yeah, the linguistic equivalent of a casual nod, almost.
Yeah.
Now, imagine you run into someone you haven't seen in, a significant while. How's it going? Still works, I guess.
It does, yeah.
But what's that perfect phrase to convey that sense of reconnection?
That's where long time no see comes in.
Okay.
It instantly signals recognition and, a shared history, makes the greeting much warmer. And you can even combine them, like, how's it going? Long time no see.
Oh, nice.
It sounds incredibly natural and just acknowledges the time gap without needing some lengthy explanation.
That makes perfect sense. And another phrase I often hear that can confuse learners is, what have you been up to lately or recently?
Yeah.
What's the real nuance of up to there? Is it literal?
Good question. No, the key here is that up to isn't literal at all. It simply means doing what.
Yeah.
It's a very common present perfect question that just opens the door for a brief update on someone's life, but without demanding, a detailed breakdown. And often the most ubiquitous answer is,
Not too much.
exactly.
It's almost a running joke how often you hear that, right? Even if someone's been incredibly busy.
Totally.
And then the vital next step to keep the conversational ball rolling after any of these greetings is that simple but crucial addition. And you.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Now, when it comes to answering greetings, its going adjective is your straightforward response. So it's going great or it's going well.
Simple enough.
For a long time. No, see, you can confirm with phrases like, I know, too long, or it's been too long. It's just a simple acknowledgement that builds rapport. And yes, the response to what have you been up to lately is almost universally not too much, usually followed by an you. It's kind of a social script that just keeps things light and moving.
Okay, now let's clip to the other end of a conversation. Goodbyes.
Yeah.
The simple bye, or goodbye, as you mentioned, can often sound quite abrupt or formal, especially in quick, everyday interactions.
Yeah.
So what are the natural, everyday ways to end a conversation that truly reflect native usage?
You're spot on. In general situations, think leaving a store, a restaurant, finishing a quick customer service call, you'll frequently hear, take care. It's common, warm, and really versatile. A general farewell that conveys a nice sense of well-wishing.
That's a great one. And I often hear variations on what's the full spectrum there?
Oh, yeah. You'll hear have a good time reference, like have a good day, morning, afternoon, evening, or night.
Right.
Or for a general alternative that works any time of day, simply have a good one.
I have a good one. Yeah, that's super common.
It is. Short, sweet, covers all bases. And what's interesting is how native speakers often layer these. It's not just one, it's like a conversational combo platter.
Yes, I noticed that. You'll hear things like, bye, take care, have a good one. Or, bye, take care, have a good night. It just adds that extra layer of warmth, doesn't it?
Precisely. And you can get even more specific, maybe replace good with adjectives like wonderful, fabulous, or fantastic. You might also hear, bye for now.
Okay, what does that imply?
It subtly implies that you expect to see that person again, probably in the not too distant future.
Got it.
Another polite option is enjoy the rest of your time period. So enjoy the rest of your evening, enjoy the rest of your weekend, or enjoy the rest of your vacation. It's just a thoughtful way to close.
So those are for more general situations. What about when you're saying goodbye to friends, where things can be a bit more informal, maybe?
Yeah, with friends, see you soon and see you later are incredibly common and straightforward. Talk soon is also a frequent option, particularly if you've been chatting on the phone or, through messages. If you have definite future plans, you'd naturally say something like, see you next weekend, or see you at the party. And if you're genuinely excited about it, you can add, can't wait to before those phrases, like, can't wait to see you next weekend.
I love that. It adds a little punch, doesn't it? What if you want to reflect on the time you just spent together? Like, acknowledge the interaction itself.
Oh, good point. Phrases like, it was so nice seeing you are very popular. And you can vary the adjective. It was awesome seeing you. It was amazing, wonderful, or lovely. And instead of just seeing you, you can specify the activity. It was nice catching up. It was great having dinner, or it was fun chatting.
Nice.
These phrases just highlight that you valued the interaction.
And if someone's leaving in a vehicle, I always hear, drive safe. Is there a reason why safe is preferred over safely there? Because grammatically, safely should be the adverb, right?
That's a classic nuance. You're right. Technically, safely is the adverb modifying drive. But safe functions colloquially here as an adjective describing the desired outcome of the drive, that you arrive safe. Ah, okay.
It's a common example of informal spoken English prioritizing, well, conciseness and common usage over super strict grammatical rules. You can also say, have a safe trip.
Makes sense.
And to maintain connection, especially if you don't have immediate plans set, common phrases include, let's catch up soon, don't be a stranger, or the very popular, keep in touch.
Right, those are good for keeping the door open.
Exactly. These expressions, they really build a social fabric, allowing for nuanced interactions that reflect your relationship.
Okay, now for some informal, maybe even slangy expressions that signal you need to leave. These are usually for friends, family, or maybe very casual coworkers, right?
Definitely. We often use gotta or got to. So phrases like, I gotta go, I gotta jet, I gotta head out, I gotta take off, I gotta hit the road, or I gotta get going, all signal your departure.
Got a jet. I like that one.
Yeah, like, it's 6.0, I gotta jet. Simple and widely used options also include catch you later or just later.
Later. Very concise. Very. You might even hear humorous, less common phrases like catch you on the flip side or catch you on the flippity flip. They're just playful ways to say, see you later.
Right, maybe a bit dated now, but you still hear them.
Yeah.
I've definitely heard peace out or just peace. I don't personally use them, but it's good to recognize them.
Yeah, exactly. And probably the most common informal expression really is simply see ya, just a shortened version of see you later. For personal goodbyes with loved ones, the tone is everything. Bye, my love is often said with a very affectionate tone. You might even hear, I miss you already.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, it's a sweet expression of attachment, even if they're still right there in front of you. Or using pet names like bye, sweetheart, sweetie, cuddle bear, or darling.
And of course, if you have young children, there's that really cute one. See you later, alligator.
In a while, crocodile.
Exactly. That's definitely for the little ones.
For sure. Now, in professional settings, work, interviews, networking events, the farewells naturally become more formal.
Right. Got to shift gears.
Yep. You can say, looking forward to seeing you again soon. Or use a gerund verb like, looking forward to working together. You can also use a noun, such as looking forward to the conference. These are professional ways to express anticipation of future interaction.
Okay. And if it's a first meeting, like networking.
Phrases like, it was a pleasure meeting you, or it was nice talking to you, are standard and convey polite closure. In a job interview setting, you'd express appreciation. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Crucial for interviews.
Absolutely. The interviewer, in turn, will also express appreciation. Thank you so much for coming today, or thank you so much for your time today. And they'll often conclude with, we'll be in touch shortly, or we'll be in touch soon, which sets an expectation for follow-up.
And sometimes a superior might offer words of encouragement or signal availability, right?
Yes, like, keep up the good, great, amazing work. Or, if you need me, I'm a phone call away, you know where to find me. Or that classic office phrase, my door is always open.
Good ones to know.
What's fascinating here, really, is how the choice of greeting or farewell instantly sets the tone for an interaction. These seemingly small linguistic details are, well, they're crucial for building rapport and conveying just the right level of politeness and familiarity. They're not just words, they're social signals.
Okay, let's explore this a bit more. Beyond just hello and goodbye, there are so many situations in daily life where having the right phrase can make all the difference. Especially when you need help, maybe, or want to decline something politely. It's about navigating those everyday interactions smoothly and, with confidence.
Absolutely. Let's start with saying thank you like a native speaker. Beyond the simple thanks, you'll frequently hear, thanks so much, thanks a million, and thanks a bunch.
Okay.
While thank you is always polite, notice how often native speakers drop the you and just say thanks. This seemingly small change carries a subtle shift in thanks, often feels a bit more immediate and informal, perfect for quick exchanges.
Yeah, thank you can feel a bit more deliberate, maybe for something bigger.
Exactly. And to sound really natural, you'll often hear casual options like, you're the best, or you rock. They're fantastic for showing genuine appreciation to friends.
Love those.
If you want to be a bit more formal or polite, you can say, I really appreciate it, or that's so nice kind of you.
Okay, so responding to thank you, what are the alternatives to the standard, you're welcome?
Right. The most common and versatile phrase you'll hear, especially in North America, is no worries.
Everywhere.
Yeah. You can extend it to no worries at all. It's a very relaxed, almost breezy way of saying you're welcome, conveying that the favor was no trouble at all. It's like a masterclass in casual reassurance.
Other options.
Other excellent alternatives include happy to help, my pleasure, which often sounds a bit more formal or polite, maybe used by service staff, or simply anytime, meaning I'm happy to help you again whenever you need it.
Okay, got it. Now, if someone offers you something, coffee, a snack, whatever, and you want to politely decline without sounding abrupt or rude.
Ah, yes. A very common and elegant phrase is, I'm good, but thanks anyway.
I'm good. What does that imply exactly?
I'm good subtly implies I'm already satisfied, or I don't need that right now, so it avoids a blunt no.
And that but thanks anyway is so crucial, right? It softens the refusal and ensures you express gratitude for the offer itself.
Precisely. You also hear variations like, no thanks, I'm good, none for me, but thanks anyway, or I'll pass, but thanks. All polite, all appreciative.
Okay. What about requesting help? How do you do that politely?
When you're in a situation where you need help, a very common and friendly phrase is, can you give me a hand?
Right, the idiom.
It's a wonderful idiom that means, can you help me, without explicitly saying the word help.
Another really useful one, maybe especially when you're asking for a bit of someone's time, is, do you mind helping me out?
Yes. Notice the use of the gerund verb helping and the phrasal verb help out. Native speakers do love their phrasal verbs.
I really do. Or for a super quick, informal check on someone's availability. Got a sec?
Yep. Sec is, of course, short for second, implying a very small amount of time. It's concise and common among friends or close colleagues.
And if you're offering help to someone else?
You can simply ask, need a hand? Just make sure to use that rising intonation to make it sound like a question.
Got it.
Or you can state it directly. I can give you a hand with that, or let me help you with that.
Moving on to weekend and social plans. How do you naturally ask about someone's activities?
Typically, you'd say, what are you up to this weekend? Or any plans this weekend? Very standard.
Any other common ways?
A slightly different but equally common option is, anything on the go this weekend? On the go is just another way to say plans or activities.
On the go, okay.
If you want to arrange social plans, you can ask, are you free on Saturday? Or make a statement like, we should hang out soon, and hang out is that very common phrase for casual social interaction.
Right, hang out. And I hear native speakers use the verb grab a lot for social things, especially food or drinks.
Yes, very frequently. Do you want to grab coffee sometime? Or do you want to grab dinner tonight? It's quick and informal.
Okay. And for arranging business meetings, is it similar?
You can still use, are you free to meet time date, for example. Are you free to meet on Thursday at 2 p.m.? But you might also suggest your own availability. I'm available on Thursday at 2 p.m. Does that work for you? And to ask for their preference, simply what works best for you.
It's really fascinating how these phrases aren't just about conveying basic information, are they? There's so much about navigating social norms and building positive interactions.
Exactly. In English-speaking contexts, especially North America, politeness and consideration are crucial social lubricants. These seemingly simple phrases demonstrate respect and consideration, even when declining an offer or asking for a favor, which is vital for smooth and effective communication. They're like a shortcut to building rapport.
So what does this all mean for seamless communication? It's definitely a two-way street, right?
Yeah.
What do you do when you don't quite catch something, or you want to make sure you and the other person are perfectly aligned? Clarity is just so key.
You're right. It absolutely is. When you need to ask for clarification, a simple and direct phrase is, sorry, I didn't catch that.
Okay.
Or if you didn't understand a specific word or concept, you could say, sorry, what does X mean? Or, sorry, what do you mean by X? Don't hesitate to ask. It's always better to clarify than to just nod along feeling confused.
That's good advice. And if someone is speaking too fast or maybe too quietly,
Yeah.
is it rude to ask them to adjust?
Not at all. It's perfectly acceptable. You can ask, could you speak up a little if they need to speak louder? Or could you slow down a little if they're speaking too quickly? This isn't rude. It's just proactive communication to ensure understanding.
Okay, good. Now, confirming understanding. If you've explained something, how do you check if the other person got it?
You can use phrases like, do you know what I mean? Or does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's even shortened to just make sense with a rising intonation. Very common in casual settings.
And if they've explained something to you, how do you show you understand or agree?
A common way to show you understand is, oh, I know what you mean. Or if you're agreeing with a proposed idea or plan, sounds good is very common. Or you can turn it into a question. Does that sound good to you?
Okay. And for confirming shared understanding or like full agreement?
For that, we have a fantastic idiom. Are we on the same page?
Love that one.
It means, do we agree or do we have a shared understanding of the situation? And if you do agree, you can respond with, we're on the same page, or for really strong agreement, we're 100% on the same page.
Nice.
This really raises an important question, doesn't it? How often do we just assume understanding without actually confirming it?
Probably too often.
These phrases give us the tools to actively ensure clarity, which is incredibly important in preventing misunderstandings, especially, in diverse communication environments. Being explicit about understanding, or the lack thereof, fosters truly clear and effective dialogue, rather than just polite confusion.
So let's explore this. Imagine you're in a meeting or maybe just chatting with friends, and you have a strong opinion. How do you voice it with, finesse and confidence, whether it's a casual chat or a more professional discussion? It feels like there's more to it than just saying, I think.
Oh, you're absolutely right. There's definitely an art to it. For versatile, everyday, personal opinions, you can use phrases like, I would say contracted.
Right.
If you ask me, or the very common, I believe. These are kind of go-tos.
Okay. What else?
You'll also hear, it seems to me that the way I see it, or simply to me, and sometimes maybe more regional or personal favorite, like I reckon.
I reckon. Yeah, I hear that sometimes.
And what's interesting is how native speakers often follow their statement with a kind of summarizing phrase.
Oh, like what?
Yes, for common expressions that follow your statement, you can say, your statement, that's my take on it. Or your statement, that's my 2 cents.
My 2 cents. I like that. Humble but clear.
Exactly. 2 cents implies it's just a small, humble contribution, but it's your honest opinion. Both are great for informal settings. Now, when you need to be more formal or professional, consider phrases like, from my perspective, in my opinion, it's my view that, or it appears to me that. These add a level of professionalism to your stance.
Okay. What if you're really certain, like 100% sure about something? How do you convey that strongly?
You can say, I'm sure, certain, positive that. Or, to sound really firm and leave basically no room for doubt, it's obvious, indisputable, undeniable, unquestionable that.
Yeah.
Even it's beyond a doubt. These convey very strong conviction.
But sometimes you want to express uncertainty or maybe doubt, perhaps to be more diplomatic or to invite correction. What phrases work there?
Good point. You can say, it's possible, probable, likely that. Or if it's more of an intuition or a gut feeling, I figure, gather that, or I have a hunch.
Have a hunch. Nice.
Yeah. And to be cautious and, humble, you might start with, correct me if I'm wrong, but, or, if I'm not mistaken. Another option is, to the best of my knowledge. These phrases signal that you acknowledge you might be incorrect, which is a form of humility and openness to discussion.
That's really useful. Now, being diplomatic, especially when you're introducing an opposing view, how do you soften your approach? Because it's often not just about being right, but about being heard respectfully, isn't it?
Exactly. That's key. You can try to be honest, or in all honesty, or to express a slight regret for what you're about to say. I'm sorry to say it, but for a more neutral stance, one could argue that. And a powerful diplomatic phrase I particularly like is, I get to understand what you're saying, but it acknowledges their point before politely presenting your differing one.
That's a good one. Acknowledging first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Other diplomatic ways to disagree include, I respect your opinion, but that's a good point, however, or I see your point, but I have a different perspective.
Sure. You can also sort of suggest another viewpoint by asking, can I share my opinion? Or maybe That's one way of looking at it, but have you considered the fact that...
Exactly. It opens the door for a different angle, inviting collaboration rather than confrontation. Now, when sharing a general opinion, something most people would agree with, like repetition is key when you're learning any new skill, you can use phrases such as, it's said that, it's believed that, I've heard that, or it's considered that.
Okay.
Others include, it's generally accepted that, most agree that, some say that, or it goes without saying that. You might also cite vague sources. Researchers, experts suggest that.
And you can combine a general opinion with your personal agreement, right? Like, it's generally accepted that repetition is key, and personally, I couldn't agree more. That sounds quite strong.
Yeah, it creates a strong, well-rounded statement. Finally, to ask for someone else's opinion, what are the best ways to prompt a response?
Good question.
Direct questions work well. Do you agree? Brian, what's your opinion? Brian, what do you think? Pranay, what are your thoughts? Ka, what's your view? How do you see the situation? Or, what's your take on it?
What's your take on it? That's nicely informal.
It is. And to connect it back to the listener's own experience, you can ask, what about you? Ka, how about you? Ka, has that been your experience? Ka, what has your experience been? Or is that something you would support too?
Lots of options there.
What's really fascinating here is how carefully chosen words can allow us to express strong convictions or delicate disagreements without, alienating the person we're talking to. The variety in this vocabulary area allows for far more sophisticated and respectful communication, truly demonstrating a nuanced understanding of English social dynamics.
Okay, let's talk about the unsung heroes of advanced English. Transition words. Imagine a conversation or maybe a presentation that just flows seamlessly, connecting ideas effortlessly, making your thoughts just a joy to follow. The secret.
Transition words.
Exactly. They are truly the GPS for your listener's mind, as you put it earlier.
That's a perfect analogy, yeah. Transition words are individual words or phrases that organize your ideas and show the logical connections between them. They're commonly used in formal or academic writing, sure, but they are equally powerful in spoken English to make you sound advanced, professional, and just clear. They signal to your listener where you're going next.
Okay, let's dive into some key categories. First up, cause and effect. This is when you're explaining causation, right? Like, I spilled my coffee, as a result I changed my shirt. Simple, clear cause and effect.
Right. And you'll find a spectrum of formality here. For a very formal context, you might say, consequently, hence, accordingly, or thus.
Okay, quite formal.
Yeah. More common in everyday or business speech would be for that reason, as a result, therefore, or simply so. And then, since and because are used to introduce the reason directly, while due to is typically followed by a noun phrase. Choosing the right one really depends on context and the tone you want.
Got it. Next up, chronology or time sequence. This is all about ordering events. Think, first I went to the store, next I worked out, finally I made dinner. It just guides the listener through a sequence.
After To organize chronologically, you have a wide range. Firstly, to begin at the beginning start. For subsequent points, secondly, afterwards, next, then subsequently, and later. For the endpoints, thirdly, finally, lastly, and the classic last but not least.
Good to have variety there.
Yeah, using different words for different steps helps avoid sounding repetitive and keeps the narrative engaging.
Then we have contrast, for showing opposing ideas. A classic example. I love ice cream, but I'm lactose intolerant. These two ideas are in opposition, and the transition word makes that really clear.
For contrast, you can use however, although, though, or but. However is generally more formal, often starting a new sentence or clause, while but is super common in everyday speech, linking clauses within a sentence. Mastering these allows you to acknowledge differing points without losing your own argument.
Okay. Addition of similar ideas is next. This is simply adding to a point, right?
Yeah.
Like, I love ice cream. In addition, I love cake. It just builds on the previous statement.
Yep. Common transition words for addition, from sort of formal to informal, include furthermore, moreover, further, additionally, in addition also, and just plain and. Trying in addition instead of just and instantly elevates your vocabulary a bit and signals you're adding substantial info, not just tacking on a thought.
Good tip. For generality, when something is true most of the time, you might say, in general, our meetings are very productive. It's a broad statement, not super specific.
Exactly. Other options for generality include generally speaking, by and large, for the most part, most of the time, more often than not, usually, typically, and mostly. These phrases allow you to speak broadly without committing to an absolute truth, which is often crucial in nuanced discussions.
Makes sense. To provide examples, you really only need to remember 3 main phrases, is that right?
Pretty much. For example, and for instance, they're largely interchangeable. So if you say, this software has really helped us, you can strengthen that point with an example.
Sure.
For example, it reduced our error rate by 40%. Concrete evidence.
Right. And for emphasis, making a point stronger.
For emphasis, to make a point stronger by adding more supporting information, you'll commonly use in fact, or as a matter of fact. For instance, I love pie. In fact, it's my favorite dessert. These add conviction and often introduce a surprising or more detailed piece of information.
Okay. And as we bring our thoughts together, how do we neatly wrap up a conversation or a presentation? That's where our conclusion transition words come in, signaling you're about to land the final point.
Exactly. The list here includes in conclusion, to conclude, to summarize, in sum, all things considered, finally, overall, ultimately in the end, to wrap up, to sum up, and all in all. If you're making a final important point in a presentation, you might say, ultimately, if we want to remain competitive, we have to invest in automation. These phrases provide a sense of closure and ensure your final message resonates.
Okay, here's a bonus tip that sort of ties all this together. You can use transition words to really expand your ideas and create a more sophisticated narrative, can't you?
Absolutely.
Like you could start with a general statement, add a contrast, provide an example, then show cause and effect, or maybe additional effects.
Right.
Let's take that simple idea from before. In general, our meetings are very productive.
Okay. Now, you can build on that seamlessly. However, they usually run over time. See, that's the contrast.
Right.
And then, for example, today our meeting was scheduled to end at 11, and it went until 11:17. That's a specific instance, making your point concrete.
Any effects?
As a result, I was late for a meeting with a client, and you can add more. Additionally, I had to work through lunch to catch up.
Wow, yeah. That's a perfect illustration of how these words glue your thoughts together. It creates a sophisticated and detailed narrative, guiding your listener with clarity and precision.
What's fascinating here, really, is how transition words aren't just about connecting sentences. They're fundamentally about connecting thoughts. They allow you to articulate complex arguments, share relationships between ideas, and ultimately help your listeners absorb information more effectively. They're kind of the secret sauce for truly cohesive and advanced English communication.
So what does this all mean for sounding like a true native speaker? We've talked about words and phrases, but if you really want to dive deep, you need to master idioms and colloquialisms. These are the colorful brushstrokes of the English language, often non-literal, and they truly set native speakers apart, don't they?
They really do. Idioms are expressions whose meaning isn't obvious from the individual words. They are crucial for understanding native speakers and sounding truly natural because they are just so ingrained in everyday conversation. Let's look at some examples from our source and really unpack their usage.
Okay, first up, to play something by ear. This doesn't mean you have a musical instrument.
No. It means to decide in the moment rather than planning everything in advance. It's often used when plans are flexible. So if someone asks, what do you want to do this weekend? You might say, let's play the weekend by ear. It conveys a relaxed, adaptable approach.
Got it. Flexible. What about to be all ears?
This idiom visually describes your readiness to listen, conveying full attention. So if your boss says, tell me your suggestions, I'm all ears, it means they're not just passively listening, they're eagerly awaiting your input. It's like saying, you have my complete attention.
Nice. We've all been there, I think. To wake up on the wrong side of the bed.
Oh yeah, this means you're in a bad mood, grumpy and irritable right from the moment you wake up.
Yeah.
If someone's being unusually short-tempered, you might playfully say, someone woke up on the wrong side of the bed. It's a gentle, often humorous way to acknowledge a bad mood.
To make a mountain out of a molehill, that's a classic.
It is. It means to exaggerate a minor problem, blowing it completely out of proportion. For example, if a colleague is panicking over a small typo, you might advise, don't make a mountain out of a molehill over one wrong test question. It implies the issue just isn't as serious as it's being made out to be.
And to be at a crossroads.
Yeah.
This one paints a clear picture, doesn't it?
It does. It means you're facing an important decision that could significantly impact your future. I'm at a crossroads about my career conveys a sense of weighty deliberation.
To rein cats and dogs. Does anyone actually say this seriously anymore?
You know, it's Maybe less common now than it used to be, but people definitely still know it and use it sometimes, often humorously. When it's raining really heavily, it conjures that vivid, almost absurd image. Did it rain last night? Yeah, it rained cats and dogs last night. It's more colorful than it rained heavily.
Okay, and to be on top of the world, that sounds pretty positive.
Extremely positive. It means you're incredibly, supremely happy and confident. I'm on top of the world after my promotion just expresses pure elation.
To give someone the cold shoulder, that sounds negative.
It is. It means to intentionally ignore someone, often because you're upset with them. It implies a deliberate withdrawal of warmth and friendliness. Why are you giving me the cold shoulder? Suggests a relationship has been strained.
To sit on the fence. Delaying a decision.
Exactly. It means to delay making a decision, to remain neutral, or to avoid taking a side. My boss is sitting on the fence about my promotion. Means a decision is pending and uncertain.
To hit the nail on the head, this means you got something exactly right.
Precisely. It's a wonderfully precise idiom, meaning to accurately explain a situation or identify the exact point of something. You hit the nail on the head about reducing costs is high praise for insightful analysis.
To get something out of your system, what's that about?
It means to do something or try something simply so you can move on from it. Often it's something you've been wanting to do, or maybe something that's been bothering you. Just go skydiving so you can get it out of your system. It's about catharsis and moving forward.
This one's fun and happens all the time. Speak of the devil.
Yes, widely used. It's said when the person you're talking about unexpectedly appears or calls, mimics phone, speak of the devil, it's Bob. It's just a lighthearted acknowledgement of the coincidence.
To give someone the benefit of the doubt, that sounds fair.
It is. It means to trust someone's explanation or intentions, even if you have reasons to be skeptical or aren't entirely sure. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he is stuck in traffic. It conveys fairness and understanding.
No pain, no gain. A classic proverb.
It means hard work and sacrifice are necessary to achieve desired results. To improve public speaking, no pain, no gain emphasizes the effort required for mastery.
Yang in there. Simple encouragement, right?
Simple yet powerful, a phrase of encouragement meaning don't give up or persevere. Learning a language is hard, but hang in there. It offers comfort and motivation.
It's not rocket science, meaning it's not complicated.
Exactly. It's not difficult to understand or do. Becoming a confident English speaker is not rocket science, is an encouraging way to say it's achievable.
To let someone off the hook for giving a mistake.
Sort of. It means you don't punish them for a mistake or hold them accountable for something they were supposed to do. I'll let you off the hook for being late today, implies a one-time reprieve.
To make a long story short, a lifesaver sometimes.
Totally. It's a common phrase used to briefly summarize a longer narrative. Long story short, we missed our flight. Cuts right to the chase.
The ball's in your court. Whose turn is it?
It signifies it's someone else's turn to make a decision or take the next step. We offered her the promotion, now the ball's in her court. It clearly defines responsibility.
To have your ducks in a row. Being organized.
Yep. Means to be well prepared and organized, ensuring everything is ready. They should have gotten their ducks in a row before the conference. Suggests a lack of preparation if they didn't.
To pull someone's leg. Teasing.
Exactly. To joke with someone, to tease them playfully, not maliciously. Don't get upset, I'm just pulling your leg. It clarifies intent and reassures.
And pull yourself together.
Right.
Calming down.
Right. Means to calm down and regain composure, often after being upset or emotional. Pull yourself together, it was just a false alarm. It's an imperative for self-control.
So far, so good. A progress report.
Kind of. It's used to indicate that everything is progressing well up until the present moment, but maybe with a hint that things could still change. How's the project going? So far, so good.
It's a cautiously optimistic update.
Time flies when you're having fun. So true.
Isn't it? It means you don't notice time passing when you're enjoying yourself.
Wow, it's 1 a.m. already.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun.
Don't judge a book by its cover. A lesson in perception.
Absolutely. It means you shouldn't judge someone or something based solely on appearance or initial impressions. Don't judge a book by his cover. Look at his resume first.
To miss the boat. Miss opportunity. Exactly. Lose an opportunity by being too slow or failing to take action in time. The application deadline was last week. I missed the boat.
To spill the beans. Revealing secrets.
Usually accidentally, yes. Don't spill the beans about the surprise party. Means keep it secret.
And finally, to be under the weather. Feeling sick.
Yep. Feeling unwell or sick, usually mildly. I'm a little under the weather today. It's a polite and common way to indicate mild illness without going into details. What's fascinating here is how these idioms are not just words, but cultural shortcuts. They offer a window into the everyday thinking and shared experiences of native speakers, making communication richer and more authentic.
Okay, now let's shift to colloquial words and expressions. These are informal language used in everyday speech, right? Casual but friendly and natural. How are they different from slang?
Good question. Colloquialisms are widely understood and generally acceptable in informal situations. Slang can be much more informal, sometimes specific to a certain group or region, and might even be considered unprofessional in many contexts. Colloquialisms are more about building rapport in everyday chat.
Got it. So, first, colloquialism.
Yeah.
Let's hit the books. Study time.
Exactly. It means to begin studying, often intensely. I have a big test tomorrow, so I need to hit the books. It's a very common phrase among students.
Next, let's do it. That sounds pretty general.
It is, but it's used as a casual, often enthusiastic way to say, let's complete something or let's begin. Used in many situations, from starting a task to leaving, ready to leave, let's do it. It implies readiness and eagerness.
Yep, or yeppers. Casual yes.
Very casual yes. You'll hear them constantly among friends. Yuppers, I'm ready.
And 8.000-ish. That ish suffix is fantastic, isn't it?
It's incredibly useful. It means around or approximately, so around 8.0. This is incredibly common for times, ages, even colors like reddish. I'll see you at 80-ish. It conveys flexibility.
My bad. Taking responsibility.
Yes, quickly taking responsibility or accepting fault for small, minor mistakes. The chart on page 5 is from 2023. Shouldn't be from 2024. My bad. I'll change that ASAP.
It's a humble, concise admission, not usually for big screw-ups.
We've mentioned it before as a response to thank you, but no worries is also a top colloquialism, meaning it's okay or don't worry about it, right?
Absolutely. It's incredibly versatile and conveys that relaxed, forgiving attitude.
And similar to no worries is no big deal, or it's even shorter form, no biggie.
Right. It means it's okay, not significant, or not important. Thanks for the free lesson PDF. No big deal. It minimizes the perceived effort or significance of something done.
100%. Strong agreement.
Very strong agreement. A trendy, emphatic way to say you completely agree she doesn't do her fair share of the work. 100%. It's powerful and common.
To be into something, meaning you like it.
Yeah, means to enjoy or have a strong interest in something. I'm really into yoga. It's a casual way to express passion or interest. Let's Uber it. This shows that trend of turning nouns into verbs, right?
Exactly. It means, let's take an Uber. You'll hear this constantly now. I'll email you or I'll WhatsApp you, demonstrating how language evolves, especially with technology.
That's wild. Showing surprise.
Yep. Used to show surprise or amazement at something unexpected or unusual. A lot of Ubers won't accept my ride because I live outside of the city. That's wild.
That's really, with that questioning tone.
Also used to show surprise or mild disbelief. I don't get Uber Eats. It won't come to my area. Really?
If someone says, I have a question, and you reply, shoot, what does that mean?
It's an informal, direct way to say, go ahead, ask your question.
Give me a shout. Contact me.
Exactly. It means call me or contact me. It's friendly and informal. Give me a shout when you land.
Will you flip me the invite? That sounds very current.
It does. Here, flip means to send electronically, often implying quickly. An invite is a shortened noun for invitation. It's highly colloquial and efficient, especially for things like digital invitations.
In a sec.
Soon, yeah, means in a second, or very soon. You can also ask, do you have a sec? Meaning, do you have a moment to talk?
Newbie. New person on the team.
Yes, refers to a new member of a team or group, usually in a casual and often affectionate way. Can you show Sarah how to file the reports? She's a newbie.
If something is dialed in, like a routine.
Means it's fully optimized or perfected, functioning exactly as it should. My study routine is dialed in. It suggests mastery and efficiency.
I'm crushing it. Doing well.
Doing really well. Means you're doing a great job, performing exceptionally well. Jennifer, you're crushing it. It's enthusiastic praise.
I'm loving it like the McDonald's slogan. Is that grammatically okay?
Huh. Technically, love is a state verb, so grammatically it shouldn't be in the continuous form, but it's become so widely accepted and used largely thanks to that slogan to emphasize current enjoyment. I'm loving this song. It adds an energetic punch to your feeling. So yes, colloquially, it's fine.
Learning English is a piece of cake, meaning Easy.
Very easy. You might even hear it if you have a great teacher helping you.
We shot the breeze, just chatted casually.
Exactly. Made small talk or had a casual, lighthearted conversation about unimportant things. My neighbor and I always shoot the breeze when we take out the garbage.
And finally, you're on fire. Similar to crushing it.
Very similar. Means you're performing really well or doing a great job. You just added 24 common and natural expressions to your speech. You're on fire. What's fascinating here is how these idioms and colloquialisms are not just words, but cultural shortcuts. They offer a window into the everyday thinking and shared experiences of native speakers. Truly mastering a language means not just knowing the rules, but understanding and using its natural, informal expressions, making communication more authentic and relatable.
Okay, so let's unpack this further. Language isn't one size fits all, right? What you say to a friend might definitely not work in a job interview or maybe while you're traveling.
Yeah.
So how do we tailor our English for these specific situations? It's all about understanding the context and choosing the right tone and vocabulary, I guess.
Precisely. Let's start with workplace and professional phrases. If you agree or support a suggestion, a highly effective phrase is, "I'm on board with that." For instance, we're on board with a new strategy for increasing sales. It conveys enthusiastic agreement and commitment.
Okay, on board. Got it. And to confirm shared understanding, that vital check-in we mentioned, are we on the same page?
Yes, like, after our discussion, it seems like we're on the same page regarding the project timeline. It's a great way to ensure alignment without sounding condescending.
When a situation benefits everyone, what's that called?
That's a win-win situation. Subscribing to this channel is a win-win situation. It highlights mutual benefit. To ask for someone's opinion or feedback, simply say, "What are your thoughts on this?" Or, "What are your thoughts on the new marketing strategy?" It invites participation.
When you want to encourage creative thinking, that classic phrase.
We need to think outside the box. Widely recognized idiom for innovation. If you need to postpone a discussion in a meeting, maybe to stay on track, you can say, "Let's circle back to that later." It shows respect for the topic while managing time effectively.
Makes sense. We need to prioritize our tasks. That sounds straightforward.
It is. Organizing them based on importance and urgency. Very practical. And a very common one for managing information flow. Please keep me in the loop.
Meaning keep me informed.
Exactly. You're requesting information or updates as they happen, ensuring you remain informed.
Have they ironed out the details? What does ironed out mean here?
It means asking if something has been resolved or clarified, often used for contracts or agreements that require meticulous negotiation or sorting out. It implies a detailed process of resolution, like smoothing out wrinkles.
Ah, okay. And to show you're ready to listen.
You can say, "I'm all ears." We mentioned it earlier, but it works professionally too. It's inviting.
Let's take a step back. It means pause and reevaluate.
Yep. Pause to review a situation or decision from a broader perspective. Our marketing campaign didn't work. Let's take a step back and see why. When you disagree with an opinion in a formal but polite way, you can say, "I beg to differ."
Is that common? Sounds quite formal.
It is quite formal, maybe less common in everyday chat, but definitely used in professional settings for strong but respectful disagreement. "I beg to differ. I think the campaign was great. It was our execution that failed."
I'll cut to the chase, getting straight to the point.
Right. State your main point directly without small talk or preamble. "I'll cut to the chase. You're not getting the promotion." It's direct, can be blunt, depending on tone. Run it by the team first means to share ideas for feedback and approval before proceeding. Standard collaboration practice.
If someone is in charge, they
call the shots. You should run your idea by Frank because he calls the shots. And if it's someone else's responsibility to make a decision, you say, "The ball's in Frank's court." These idioms assign clear roles and responsibilities.
We need to nip this in the bud. Stop a problem early.
Exactly. Stop a problem at its early stages before it worsens. We need to nip these rumors in the bud before the employees start worrying. It's about proactive problem solving. It's not, "My cup of tea means you dislike something." Public speaking is not my cup of tea. It's a polite way to express disinterest without being overly negative.
They hammered out the agreement. Means it's finalized.
Yes, something has been finalized after extensive discussion or negotiation. It implies effort. "We're swamped right now" means you're really busy, overwhelmed with work. "We'll take that into consideration" means you will consider someone's feedback or suggestion, often used diplomatically, sometimes non-committally.
Good to know. We need to think long-term. Strategic thinking.
Yep, emphasizes considering future implications and strategy. Sorry, I'm tied up means you are busy and unavailable at that moment. Let's put our heads together, suggest the need for collaboration or brainstorming to solve a problem.
And to play devil's advocate, what's the purpose of that?
It's to consider opposing viewpoints when making a decision, even if you don't agree with them, just to test the strength of an argument or anticipate challenges. I think 3 videos per day is too much for me to handle, but let's play devil's advocate and explore the potential benefits. These phrases really allow for nuanced interaction in professional settings, signaling competence and strategic thinking.
Okay, now for professional phrases in job interviews,
Yeah.
these are absolutely essential for making a strong impression, aren't they?
Crucial. When introducing yourself and your experience, you'll want to sound confident. Say something like, I have more than over almost number of years of extensive experience as a job title or in the field industry sector. Using words like extensive or significant elevates your statement.
Good tip when detailing responsibilities.
Use powerful action verbs and gerunds. In this role, I was Sam, responsible for managing, overseeing, leading, coordinating, creating, developing, reviewing, improving, streamlining, analyzing. Note that streamlining means improving efficiency, a fantastic word employers love to hear.
For education and credentials.
You'd say, I have a Bachelor of Master of Degree from school and year. You could also use more formal verbs like received or obtained your degree. For certifications, I completed my certification in year. Clear and concise.
When discussing strengths, how to sound confident but not arrogant.
Use strong adverbs but keep the qualities professional. As for my strengths, I'm extremely hardworking, committed, trustworthy, honest, focused, methodical, proactive. Use extremely over really or very to sound more convincing. And if you're a collaborative worker, simply state, I'm a team player.
For skills.
Use strong adjectives. I have advanced, superior, excellent time management skills, communication skills, adaptability, problem-solving skills. You get the idea. For work ethic, the specific impressive phrase is, I have a strong work ethic.
How do you express genuine interest in the position itself?
You could say, I'm looking for an opportunity to further develop my X skills or to gain experience in field industry sector. This shows your motivation goes beyond just getting any job. You want this job for growth.
And a strong conclusion statement is vital, right? To leave that powerful final impression.
Absolutely essential. Something like, I believe I'm confident that my extensive skills and experience would make me a valuable asset to your company team organization, and I look forward to the opportunity to contribute to your goals. It seals your pitch with confidence and connects your skills to their needs.
Okay, switching gears completely now. Let's talk about travel and tourist phrases. These are super practical. Greetings in stores or restaurants.
Simple. Hello, hi there, good morning, afternoon, evening or common. Just remember, don't say goodnight as a greeting. It's only used when you're leaving someone for the night. You can even drop good for morning. Morning is friendly and casual.
To state your purpose, like checking in or asking for info.
You might say, we have a reservation under name for time. Or, if you need information, could you please tell me when the next ferry comes? And to get attention politely, use, in North America, is typically used to ask someone to repeat themselves, not usually to get attention.
Good distinction. For shopping, asking if they have something.
You ask, do you carry sunscreen? Carry means have in stock. When paying, it's often assumed you're using a card, so they typically won't ask cash or credit. How much is this, or these axes? Is standard. They might ask, do you need a bag? Plastic bags are often banned or cost money, so you might pay for a paper bag.
How to ask for a bag.
Can you give me a bag, please? Or I need to buy a bag, please. Remember, please often comes at the end of a statement in requests like this.
Receipts, donation.
They might ask, need a receipt? Respond, no, that's okay, or yes, please. If they ask about donations or memberships at the till and you're confused or not interested, a simple, polite, no thanks is perfectly fine.
In clothing stores. If you're just looking.
You can say, I'm just looking, thanks, or I'm just browsing, thanks. If you need something specific, I'm looking for a small backpack to try something on. Where can I try this on? Or where are the fitting rooms, changing rooms? And always wise to ask, what's your return policy if you think you might need to bring it back?
Okay, dining out. Getting a table.
You'd say, table for 2, please, or we have a reservation under name. You can ask, do you have any tables outside in the patio, or can we sit by the window, or are there any booths available?
What about allergies or modifications? Is that okay to ask for?
Absolutely. It's extremely common and expected in North America. Be clear. I'm allergic to nuts. Or, can you make that vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free to modify an order? I'll have the burger, but no onion, shoulder the onions without onions.
Can you ask for additions too?
Definitely. Can you add pickles? Can you make it extra spicy? Or a very common one, can you put the sauce on the side? Don't hesitate to ask for modifications. It's normal.
Drinks, water.
Don't forget water. Can you bring us some water, please? If they ask sparkling or still, you can say, tap water is fine. Tap water is generally drinkable and free everywhere in North America.
Finding the facilities.
Ask, where are the bathrooms or where are the restrooms? Generally not toilets in North American public settings. For leftovers, can I have a to-go box, please? Or can you pack this up?
Paying the bill. Tipping.
When ready, say, just the check, please, or can you bring me the bill, please? Tipping is almost always expected, usually 10-20% depending on service level and formality, but rarely automatic on the bill in North America, so you'll need to add it. For Wi-Fi, do you have Wi-Fi, or what's the Wi-Fi password? If it's complicated, you can offer your phone for them to type it in or ask them to write it down.
Getting around town. Asking for directions.
While GPS on phones is common, basic questions are still useful. Excuse me, do you know how to get to the Empire State Building? Or which way is Central Park, if using public transport? Does this train go to Central Park? Or which train will take me to Central Park?
Asking someone to take your photo.
Excuse me, do you mind taking our photo picture? Or could you please take our picture? Most people are happy to help.
Any final tip for tourists?
Yeah, a vital one. North America is incredibly diverse. People interact with non-native speakers daily, so please do not feel nervous or shy about your accent or potential grammar mistakes. They really won't negatively impact your experience. People are generally understanding and patient. Just embrace the communication.
That's great advice. Lastly, let's touch on some advanced IELTS formal phrases for general discussions. These could be useful in exams or more formal conversations, right?
Exactly. When asked where you live, I was born and raised in city country sounds very natural. To sound more advanced, add, I've lived here for over a number of years now. Using the present perfect or present perfect continuous for live, work, and study, it shows that connection between past and present.
For tell me about your work.
Say, I am an engineer. Remember the article. You can make a gerund statement like, being an engineer is rewarding. Then explain why. I love using my analytical skills. Verb of preference plus gerund. Use transition words for nuance. However, being an engineer also has its challenges. Specifically, I often work around the clock. Around the clock means continuously. Sounds very intense and dedicated.
Hobbies. What if you don't really have any?
Start with an opinionated gerund statement. In my opinion, having hobbies is integral to living a fulfilling life. Then, I'm an avid hiker, cyclist, guitar player. Avid shows strong interest. Explain why. Hiking gives me the opportunity to connect with nature. If you genuinely don't have hobbies currently, be honest, but frame it positively. Until now, my focus has been primarily on my career. However, I'm considering taking up painting. Take up means start a hobby, consider plus gerund, then explain the benefit. Drawing will give me the opportunity to express my creative side.
Talk about family.
I'm from a close-knit family is a great description. Or everyone in my family gets along really extremely well. A fantastic common phrase is, I take after my mom in looks and I take after my dad in personality. Take after means resemble physically or in personality traits.
For travel aspirations.
I'd love the opportunity to travel to visit Egypt. Use the second conditional for hypothetical travel. If I could travel anywhere, I'd choose Egypt. A gerund statement like, visiting Egypt is at the top of my list shows strong desire. You can make it even stronger with present perfect. Traveling to Egypt has been at the top of my list for as long as I can remember.
Adding an opinion helps too.
Definitely. From my perspective, the pyramids are one of our world's greatest treasures and express deep enthusiasm. I'd revel in the opportunity to see them with my own eyes. Revel in means thoroughly enjoy, very strong.
Okay, a final bonus tip for formal settings or exams, clarifying your answer if you feel you weren't clear.
Yes, this is powerful. Memorize a few phrases like, what I'm trying to say is who. What I mean is who. What I'm getting at is who, to put it another way, or in other words.
Yeah.
These are invaluable for ensuring your message is understood precisely as you intend it.
Excellent.
This really raises an important question, doesn't it? How do these specific pockets of language shape our ability to function effectively, whether we're closing a deal or just ordering coffee? It's about more than just being understood. It's about seamlessly integrating into various social and professional contexts.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener?
Wow, we've just taken a whirlwind deep dive into some of the most essential and Natural English expressions for pretty much every facet of your daily life, from those initial greetings all the way to the nuances of idioms and the precision needed in professional communication. The sheer volume of practical knowledge we've covered is truly incredible.
It's a lot, yeah. We deeply encourage you to actively try integrating these phrases into your daily communication. Language learning isn't just about absorbing information passively, is it? It's an ongoing process of discovery, practice, and, well, bold experimentation sometimes. Every single new phrase you master, every nuance you grasp, builds not just your vocabulary, but your confidence and your connection to the language itself.
Absolutely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the true power of these everyday expressions isn't just about sounding native, though that's nice too. It's really about building bridges, understanding those unspoken cues, and truly finding your unique voice in the rich tapestry of the English language. It's about communicating not just words, but meaning, intention, and ultimately connection. So how will you use these nuggets, these little pieces of gold, to deepen your next conversation?
That's a powerful thought to leave you with. Until next time, keep diving deep.